Hi, now we are going to learn how to checkmate lonely king when you have a queen. By doing this, we will use the method called putting king in cage. Okay, and if you want to learn more guys, you have to like, share and subscribe this channel. Okay, come back. Now let's do and apply how to do that. Now we know that the king is lonely here. So we have to put this king in a cage by moving your queen somewhere where you are controlling and putting the king in a cage. Now once the king is inside this rectangular box in rectangular cage, that time you have to make this cage smaller and smaller. So like this we have to make it smaller and smaller, and we have to push this king towards the smaller cage. Now suppose if you cannot make this rectangular box smaller, then you can advance your king and reduce the distance between two kings. Now there is a chance of reducing the cage by putting your queen on this particular square. So I am reducing the length and breadth of this rectangle. Now still I can do it. Okay, so still I am doing, so like this I can still do it. Now still I can reduce the distance between the length and breadth of this rectangle, and I can make it a square. So now what I'm doing, I'm just reducing the cage. Now when you cannot reduce it further, you cannot make this box smaller, that time reduce the distance between king and king. So you take your king, you advance your king, now you got a chance. Now remember, here there is one intermediate tip. Whenever your opponent's king in one of these last rank or file squares, that time remember your queen should be somewhere in these squares in the second rank. So right now this king is standing here. So when the king is standing here, then better you place your queen here and block him, and don't allow this king to come out by any mean. So the king will remain here. So that time you advance your king and take in front of the king. So once your king in front of this king or in the kind of a knight position, that time with the support of your king you can easily checkmate. Okay, now the same cage method we can use for rook also. Okay, so what I am doing here, before putting the opponent's king in a cage, I am advancing my king here. So once I advance my king here, he will move somewhere. So now I want to put my rook here, so I can put black king in this square. So in that particular, sorry, in that rectangle, and put that king in the cage. So once you put the king in a cage, try to reduce the size of the cage, but don't increase the size of that cage, don't increase the size of that box. Now if you cannot make it smaller, that time you waste one move or do waiting move by moving your king. Now you got a chance by putting rook here. If you put rook here, so what you can do, that you can reduce this. Now you cannot do it further, so move your king. It's okay, it will take little more time. Now also you cannot reduce the size of this box, because inside this box the king will remain. So inside that cage king will remain. So that time just take your king. Now you got a chance. Now suppose if you move here, so what will happen? You are reducing the cage. Again you are doing the same thing. We are putting king here. Now the king is inside this. So what you have to do, that you have to advance, you have to take your king in front of the king, and then you can easily do checkmate. For example, you are taking here, the king is moving, still you advance, the king is going there. Okay, now this time, what will happen. Now here an intermediate tip for when you are having rook also. Now remember, if this king comes here, what will happen if you give check by rook from any one of the square. Okay, suppose imagine if your rook is here, you can give this checkmate. If your rook is here, you can give this checkmate. If your rook is here, you can give this mate. If your rook is here, you can give this checkmate if the king comes here. So therefore, move your rook, move your rook, and remember, if the king would have come here, then you could have easily checkmated him. Now king is going corner, so basically we want to push king in the corner. So we are advancing this. Now rook king came here, you can simply checkmate. So this is how we have to do it. So we will try this once again with the rook, because with the rook it is little difficult. Okay, so shall we try, or I think you should practice this. Okay, now let's I'm trying again. Okay, so I'm advancing my king. Quickly I will do it. So now just you understand the method. Okay, now I'm just wasting one move. Okay, so I'm advancing my king other side now. Okay, so I'm reducing. Okay, moving. Okay, so here I can reduce it further. I'm moving. He came here. Now this is the time to do a waiting move, because this king is already blocked and he is having only one square. Okay, now just take your rook away. He will go inside and you can do checkmate. Remember, whenever you are doing checkmate with a queen and checkmate with a rook, remember, you try to do checkmate, but don't do or stalemate your opponent's king. Otherwise, if you do stalemate, then the game will become draw. So thank you very much for watching. Before leaving, please like, share and